Hey guys, my name is Troon Reddy, and today I'm going to be talking about how to be successful at anything. And this is the truth that nobody will tell you. It's because it's not sexy, but I guarantee you 100% that this works, and this is what all the successful people do. I study the most successful people and I try and emulate and copy what they do because, again, that is what I'm shooting for. A little bit about me so that you can trust me and actually listen to what I'm saying. My name's Troon Reddy. I'm 19 years old. I am the founder of Reddy Media, a digital marketing company. We work with a bunch of businesses all over Texas. We help them surpass $1 million in annual sales. You can check out our website and kind of see what we've done for the clients that we work with. And on top of that, I'm also a software engineer, and I'll have an app coming out pretty soon that I think is going to be pretty legendary. And so I'm really excited for that. And then obviously, besides that, I'm also a student at the University of Texas A&M. Go Aggies. And so, yeah, with that being said, I kind of just want to explain this because I think that I can help a lot of people kind of speed up the amount of time it takes for them to be where they want to be in life, right? And this could be with anything in terms of relationships, business, your career, fitness, anything, right? Anything that you want to be successful at. And so why you're not successful, or if you feel like you should be more successful than you are, then you really need to look at these 7 things. And I know that they might not make sense at first by reading it, but let me explain and it'll make total sense. And I think that these are extremely important things to understand, right? And so the first thing is binary assumptions. And so the thing that you have to understand is things are not binary. They are on a continuum. And that is just the way life is because life is complex. And so what does that mean, right? What I'm saying is it's not about whether you are good or bad at something. It is how good are you at it or how bad are you at it? And so to give you a little bit more context, a really simple example of this is somebody who thinks that they are good at math because they may have gotten an A in high school at math, right? Versus, again, and I'm Indian, by the way, so I can attest to this, but there's people in Asia that spend hours every single day working on math. So this person who got an A in their math class may think that they're good at math, but in comparison to this person who spends hours every day getting better at math, there's no competition, right? And so because this person thinks they're good at math, right, and this person is actually putting in the work to be good at math, right, this person has a blind spot, and that blind spot becomes their limiting factor. It limits them, and it's kind of tricky because you have to understand that there are so many blind spots that you have subconsciously, and we all have them, and you have to understand them and then figure out, okay, how can I get better at this and what do I need to get better at? And that's a very important question that I know people aren't asking themselves. And so the second thing, delusional mindset, I know that sounds kind of weird, but you have to be delusionally self-confident, you have to be delusionally focused, and you have to have delusional goals. And what I mean is by delusional is for example, you want to have goals that if you tell someone, they're like, psh, you're not going to do that, right? And that's what I mean by delusional, right? And I know that not everyone can have or can fake, this confidence, because I feel like I was born with that confidence. I feel like if somebody tells me, you can't do something, or if I'm struggling with something, my mindset is psh, all right, fucking watch me. That's my mindset, right? But I know not everyone's like that, and I understand that. So the best advice that I could give is not fake it till you make it, but fake it till you become it, right? Fake it till you become it. And so once you, for example, if you pretend you're confident, pretend you're extremely confident, not cocky, not arrogant, but confident. You're confident in yourself. Eventually, the progress and the achievements you make will validate that fake confidence, and it'll turn into real confidence. And so that is the way you can work around not being confident, right? And that work goes for all of these things. And so that's extremely important, and I really think that alone can help a lot of people. And so the third thing, right, do what matters most first. And I'm not going to talk too much about this because it's pretty self-explanatory, but common sense isn't always common practice, and we see that a lot in America. Basically, it's the 80-20 rule. And basically, this is the Pareto Principle. You can look this up. There's a lot of information about it. It's actually really interesting. But like 20% of the decisions you make matter more than the other 80% combined. And for example, right, like you make decisions on what should I wear today? What am I going to do first? When am I going to do this? When am I going to go to the gym? What am I going to eat? But then you have some decisions that matter way more, right? So who am I going to marry? What career do I want to go down? Who's my best friend going to be? Where am I going to live? Those small percentage of decisions matter more than all the other ones combined. And this principle kind of is spread all throughout the world, right? There's also this principle when it comes to money, right? There's a small handful of people that have more money than the other 80%. There's 20% of people have more money than the other 80% combined. And if you look at all the billionaires, those are those people, right? And so the idea is you want to find the 20% of decisions/actions you have to make or take in order to really get you to where you want to go. And so like a really easy example of this could be like you're selling some product or whatever the case may be. You want to focus on the activities that's going to help you increase your sales. So that would be advertising, that would be, affiliate marketing, all sorts of marketing related things. That's what you want to be doing because that is going to help you move and actually make progress, right? If at the same time, if you're selling a product, but you're focusing more on, the shipping, right? If you're trying to get the shipping price to go down, it's like, if you don't have sales, the shipping doesn't matter. And so like, this is just an example of like how people get caught up with like checking emails or checking social media or organizing their desk, right? But it's like in reality, none of those things matter. You got to do whatever it is that you need to do. And again, it's different for everyone based off what they want. But I used to fall into this trap where I would have to have my desk completely organized before I even started working, right? And it's like, those are just things that I would do to procrastinate so that I wouldn't have to actually start doing the stuff that I didn't want to do, which was the boring but rewarding work that ended up making me have the most progress. And then preservation of your mind. This kind of goes back to the delusional mindset, but if you have that confidence, delusional confidence or real confidence, whatever it is, and you have that delusional focus or real focus, whatever it is, and the same thing with your goals. If you have delusional goals, there's going to be so many things that are going to come and try and ruin that and try and change those things, right? You're going to have, for example, with focus, you're going to have friends ask you, hey, like, let's go out, let's go drink, let's go, do all these things. And I'm not saying you can't do those things, but you have to be able to draw the line and preserve your mind because you're not people. Like, I hate when people say like, oh, like you're just a workaholic or you're just somebody who has to grind all day. It's not that I'm grinding all day. It's I'm preserving my focus, right? Like when people ask, hey, like if I have something to do and people ask me, you never go out. Come out with us. It's not that I don't want to hang out with you guys, but I'm preserving my focus because it only takes a couple times of, going out or, whatever the case may be where you break that momentum that you have. And that it's like if you go to the gym and you've been going for 3 months straight every single day, right? And then you don't go for a week, it's extremely hard to just pick back up at where you were. And so that's why you have to preserve your mind with your confidence. Like you have to preserve your confidence because people are going to be trying to tear it down all the time. And so if you do everything else, but you can't preserve your mind, then you also don't stand a chance. Again, preserve your mind. Really guard your focus, guard your confidence, guard those things because at the end of the day, those are the things that are going to help you make it in whatever it is that you want to achieve, right? And so these last two, patience and passion, right? They go hand in hand, but these are things that are kind of easier said than done. And so they're extremely important. And so like, a quote that I read from this book, it kind of goes along the idea of like, success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. And only when you love what you're doing, you will be successful. So let me repeat that. Success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. And only when you love what you are doing, then you can be successful. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, there's no way that you're going to be able to A, put in the time, B, stay extremely focused, and C, just there's no way that you can do those things and compete with other people who are doing the same things if you don't love it, because then you will always lose, right? And so a good example of this would be like people who want to start, a random business to make money because they think that that's how they're going to make a lot of money online or whatever the case may be. And I see this all the time. I have friends ask me, which is partially why I'm making this video, is because if you don't love what you're doing, then you're never going to be able to outcompete somebody who does, right? So a good example is like if you don't like your job and let's just say that you are a engineer, right? You are an engineer, but you're an engineer not because you actually enjoy building things. You're an engineer because they make decent money, right? You will never be better than an engineer who is passionate about it. Therefore, it's like if it's impossible for you to become the best at whatever it is you're doing, then why are you even doing it? And I get it. A lot of people are going to say because, I got to put food on the table, or, they have their personal circumstances, which I understand. But I want people to understand that doing what you love to do is a conscious choice. And when you're not chasing paychecks, if you're chasing paychecks, it's going to be hard for you to be truly happy. And so anyway, always just be passionate, because you can make money doing anything, like literally anything. And if you're passionate, you can make something of it, right? Because you're able to A, become an expert, and B, over time, your skills will compound, and then you will learn how you can monetize whatever it is that you're doing, and you will be able to make money. And even if you don't make a lot of money, because you love what you're doing, it's a win-win situation. That's why I think that really understanding that is extremely important, right? So, and really quick before we move on, this binary assumptions, which is the how good are you at something, not whether you're good or bad. It's because this is what you know, this is what you think you don't know, and then this is everything else that you actually don't know. And so people think that this is all there is, right, in the world, what you know and what you don't know. But there's infinitely many things that you don't know. And so if you think you know something, that's just not true. And so, it's just a trap. And so you just want to be aware. And if you're aware, you can hedge against the things that you don't know. And so anyway, back to the VST, because this is extremely important. Volume times skill times time equals output. So what I mean by output, that is success. This is what you want, right? These are the things that you want, the achievements you want, the money you want, the fitness you want, the goals you want. But how do you get there? Volume, skill, and time. And so this is where I think this video can help a lot of people, is because people just think that they are putting in work. And I'm not saying that, people aren't, but I want people to understand that volume is relative, and it's how much volume are you really putting in. And so, for example, right, people who go to the gym and they work out and then they don't see any goals or any gains, right? They go to the gym and for example, let's say they're trying to grow their arms, and they lift 3 times a week and they're doing 3 sets. That means they're doing 9 sets of arms every week. 9 sets. That is not enough reps to grow your arms. It's just not. And so people think that you can shortcut things is the fundamental flaw. You can't get rich quick. You can't get lean quick or get fit quick. Anything that comes fast leaves fast. And so volume times skill times time, right? So a really good example of this is in the beginning, if you're trying to start a business, you don't have skill. And because you don't have skill, it's very difficult to make a lot of money in the beginning, right? But the way you make up for the skill is you put in a lot of time and volume, which is called sweat equity, right? And so a good example of me personally is when I started Ready Media, I had zero money. So now I can spend thousands of dollars in ad spend to acquire me customers. But at the time when I started, I was fresh out of high school. I didn't know much. And I was trying to make money. And so it's like, obviously I couldn't spend thousands of dollars in ad spend every month just to gain clients. I couldn't do that, right? And so I had to use my time and I had to use my effort, sweat equity, to get my first couple of clients. And then I was able to use the money that I made from those clients to then help push me along and start investing in advertising and things of that sort. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that people think that they're putting in a lot of volume and they're putting in a lot of work. But if you're not happy with where you are, then there's a good chance that you're not putting in that much volume, right? And so another good example of this is like, I've always been relatively fit, right? And it's because I've worked out consistently over years of my life, like years and years and years. And so because of that, I look a certain way, and people will ask me, how can I look like that? And there's no like 3-month answer. It's because I've spent the time in the volume, and because I've done that, I look like that, right? And so like, that's the idea. It's like, if you want to get good at business, then how much volume and how many reps are you putting in whatever it is that you want to get good at? Like, you really got to ask yourself that. How much time are you putting in? And all these things feed themselves. And the most important thing, right, is basically these things compound. And I'm about to explain that, but just remember, if you do more than what you're currently doing, you'll get more than what you currently have. And I think that's such a profound statement because that's so true. Anytime I felt like I could be, doing, or I should be making more money, or I should be more fit than I am, or whatever the case may be, it's because I wasn't doing enough. Right? I thought what I was doing was enough, but my results told me otherwise. And so as soon as I picked it up, I got what I wanted, right? And so that's kind of the logic you have to have. And so back to this idea, right? This is basic logic. These are basic principles, but the more we do something, the better we get at it. The better we get, the more we do. And an easy example of this would be, for any guy who plays video games, I know that that's the majority of these people watching. The games that you play the most are the games that you are the best at. Because it's human nature. You don't like to do things for an extended period of time that you're bad at. If you're bad at, a certain sport, you don't want to play that sport. If you're bad at a certain subject, you don't want to do that subject. So the better we get, the more we do, because we become more comfortable in it. And then the longer we do it, the better we get. You see how these are starting to follow each other? But lastly, the better we get, the longer we do it, right? So all of these things are the same. The more we do, the better we get. The better we get, the more we do. The longer we do it, the better we get. The better we get, the longer we do it. So all these things feed off of each other. And the longer you do it, we get the magical compounding effect. The magical compounding effect is really hard to describe because it's something that you only understand once you're benefiting from it. But the best way for me to describe it is, I've been learning about business for an extremely long amount of time. And I didn't make a lot of progress in the beginning. Like, I didn't really make any progress for the amount of time and hours I was learning about things. And it was because I was building that foundation. But once I built that foundation, which took a long time, like it took 10-hour days, 7 days a week, right? It took a while and I did that for 2 years. And in reality, that's still nothing, because when I'm 40, looking back, I'm going to say, well, now I spent 20 years, right, doing this. But shit compounds. It becomes exponential. Your knowledge becomes exponential. And you only get that when you continue stacking. Really quick, I'm sorry for interrupting the video. I'm editing it, and I kind of realized that I could explain a lot of these things better. And so I kind of wanted to really quickly interject here and explain the compounding effect and kind of paint a picture. And shout out to Alex Ramosi. He's a great guy. Makes tons of money, and I would definitely recommend checking him out. But he painted this picture really well, because the compounding effect, a clear example of this is, let's say you're good at math, right? And you struggled with it, but then you finally get the hang of it. just you being able to do math you can't make money off of that, right? But you might think, okay, well, how can I add to the skill set? How can I become more valuable? And then you think, well, I'm good at math, so I can keep businesses' books. I can do their bookkeeping, right? And then you might think, well, and by the way, you're making money doing that. Not a lot of money, but you're making money. And then you can think, well, how can I increase and build on top of that, right? So I can increase my value. I can increase my skill. And then you might think, well, okay, I'll just go to university and I'll get a degree in accounting, and then I'll become a CPA, and then I'll help businesses, save a lot of money. And then you might think, okay, well, how can I build on top of this skill, right? And then you think, well, I can figure out, business tax structure, and I can save companies millions of dollars in tax. And now you'll be getting paid very nicely, and it's because you built up on all of those skills. Your skills compounded, because each skill is disproportionately more important than the one before it. But the caveat is, you have to have that previous skill before you can unlock the next one. And that's why a compounding effect is so, so important, because it can literally change the game. And so this is what people think success looks like, which is really funny. And I used to think like this too, so I'm not blaming you. But they think that success is linear. And I fucking wish, but it's not, right? And so this is what success really looks like. And I can attest to this. And I'm sure if you ask anybody who's successful, this is what they'll tell you. There's a lot of time where you're just fucking eating shit, right? You're not making any money. And this is in terms of business, I'm giving this example. But this also applies to working out. This applies to anything, right? In the beginning, it's going to be ass. You're putting in tons of work. You're putting in tons of effort. You're making tons of sacrifice. And you're not really seeing any result. But then as you put in that time, you get that compounding effect. And then it will take off from there. So like an example would be like, if you've never worked out before and you just start working out, you're not going to have a 6-pack in 6 months, because it's not linear like that. You're going to have to first slowly work out every day. And then after, a couple of months, you'll start to see, beginner gains. You'll kind of plateau. And only after tons of, rep after rep after rep, then you'll start to get this growth, right? And so a good example of this in business would be like, I didn't make any significant money for the first year and a half, because I was learning. I was building the foundation I needed. I was developing the character traits that a successful person will have, right? The time when you're broke, you're developing the character traits of somebody who is rich. So once you're rich, you have those character traits. Once you make that money and you're successful in whatever it is, whether it be business or, learning to play the piano or, fitness or whatever it is, you're developing those character traits that make you successful in the time that you're not. Okay? So all of this is just developing yourself. You're just working on you. You're working on your mind, because your work works on you more than you work on it. Your work works on you more than you work on it. So for example, you working out every day, just the discipline and the ability to do it rep after rep, day after day, that works on you more than the actual lifting the weights does. And people don't understand that. It's really hard for people to get that. And I don't blame them. But I'm telling you, your work works on you more than you work on it. And that is why this is the way success looks in reality, right? There's a lot of time where the work is working on you, and then it works, right? And so anyway, the key takeaways of this, right, is success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. And only when you love what you're doing, you will be successful. The next thing, right, is people misunderstand what volume is. Do more. And I fucking love that, because like all my friends, they say, yeah, T, I've been putting in work. I've been learning. I've been watching a couple videos about this. I've been learning about that. And it's like, to them, and again, like no disrespect, like to them that might be, good for them. Like I'm glad that they're making steps in the right direction. But people misunderstand because I was spending 10 hours a day and high quality grinding. And so like people they need to match their expectations to their input. Your output is directly related to your input. So if you don't put in a lot of work, you can't expect a lot of results. And if you put in a lot of work, also you shouldn't expect a lot of result, but you will inadvertently get the results that you're looking for, right? And that's really something people need to think about, because you can always do more. It's about pushing yourself and developing those character traits of somebody successful when you're tired and you don't want to do it, or when your friends ask you to go hang out, or whatever the case may be. When you say no and you're focusing on your goals, you're developing the character traits that you need in order to reach those goals that you want. And people misunderstand time and risk. And what I mean is, I've been learning to code for about the last year and a half, and by far one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I've made a lot of progress. And mind you, that's not even my major. I've never been like into, coding or programming. I've never been into that stuff. But I took a risk because people tell you when you're young not to take a risk, and that you need to get a good job, and but when you're young, that is the best time to take risk, because as soon as you have a family and you have, these obligations as a grown adult that you have to take care of, your ability to take a risk decreases every single day, right? Because when you're 30 and you have kids, and you don't get the opportunity to take a risk and try and start a new business, because then how can you feed your family, right? You're forced to work a job. But when you're a kid, you can do anything. And that's why I tell people, like, people misunderstand time and risk, because not taking a risk is the biggest risk in itself. And I can guarantee you life in itself is a risk, because you will not make it out alive, literally, right? You're going to die someday. And so this whole thing about taking risk, like, people just need to really put that in perspective. And again, these are things that a lot of people are going to hear me, but they're not going to hear me. And again, like, I really hope that there's a few of y'all out there that really, learn something from this. But success isn't about what you have, it's about who you become. Just because you have a lot of things doesn't mean you're successful, because you can have all those things taken away from you, and if you've actually truly have those character traits, you'll be able to get it back, right? And so again, it's about who you become, right? If you look at somebody who is unfit versus somebody who's fit, right? The person who's fit has spent years, right, disciplined, working out every day, eating right, and sacrificing, time to go to the gym whenever they could just be watching TV. And because they did that, they sharpened their mind every single day by doing that. They built that discipline. Their work worked on them more than they worked on it. And so it's about who they've become now, versus that other person who's unfit, who didn't sharpen his mind, didn't sharpen his physical body. He didn't work on, his work didn't work on him because he didn't work on it. And so again, it's I know that this sounds kind of crazy, but the last thing that I want to say is, start now, because later becomes never. And my dad always tells me that. My mom always tells me that. It's so true. And again, for all the people who have goals and they're chasing it, keep it up, because it might not seem like it, but it will eventually pay off. That's how I feel, and that's how I felt even worse in the past. And, I've been rewarded, and I hope that, I will continue to grow and reach goals that I have for, the future. And you just got to get through it, man. And if you love what you're doing, it'll be worth it, and you can actually enjoy the process, because life really is about the journey. And so you should enjoy your journey. You shouldn't hate it. And yeah, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of long. It was me ranting and venting a lot, but I think that there's a lot of really important things that we talked about in this video. And I plan on making videos like this just where I can document kind of the things that I learn and I want to share with you guys and just kind of talk about. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe, check out my Instagram, check out my TikTok, and have a great day.